going on, everybody? It's me again, Gold and Blue Dude. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. This channel is home of at least one college football video every single day. And all you long-time subscribers, you already know that if I'm not wearing the sunglasses, something's up. And you're darn right, something is up. My in-studio mic is messing up, and I'm not happy about it. I'm going to have to buy a freaking new studio mic. And those things aren't cheap. So I'm not happy about that. And that's why I'm doing a car video. So there you go. Staying on the subject of crazy, I'm going to talk about the conference standings right now. Nothing is decided except for one, and that's the SEC East. All the other divisions, not even close to being decided yet. It's crazy. I'll even start off with the AAC. Yes, Cincinnati is undefeated. They're 9-0, 5-0 in the AAC. They win out, win the AAC. They're the champs, and they have a shot to make the playoffs. Right behind them is Houston. Houston is 8-1 overall, but undefeated in the AAC. They're 6-0. If they win out, beat Cincinnati in the AAC, they are the champs, and Cincinnati is not going to the playoffs if that happens. Now on to the Power 5 conferences. First up, the ACC. It's a three-way race. Wake Forest, NC State, and yes, Clemson's still technically in it. Wake Forest is 8-1 overall, but 5-0 in the ACC. And that's with the loss to North Carolina. That didn't count as a conference win. That was a non-conference game. I'm not explaining that to you. You'll have to Google it yourself. So if Wake Forest wins out, they're good to go. But NC State, they're also in this as well. They're 7-2, 4-1 in the ACC. Their only loss was to Miami, Florida. A head scratcher, but yeah, still a loss. But if they win out, they will win the ACC because they will have the tiebreaker over Wake Forest. And sitting back there in third place is Clemson, and they're waiting for chaos. They have to have chaos to win the Atlantic. They are 6-3 overall, 5-2 in the ACC. They have losses to NC State and Pitt. So, they need to beat Wake Forest to beat NC State, and then Wake Forest to pick up another loss. Yes, it's a stretch, but mathematically, the Tigers are still in it. Now for the ACC Coastal. Also a bit of a mess. In first place is Pitt. They're 7-2 overall, 4-1 in the ACC. Their only loss was to Miami, another head scratcher. So Miami's beaten both Pitt and NC State. Sitting there in second place, Virginia, they're 6-3 overall, 4-2 in the ACC. They lost to North Carolina and Wake Forest, and they have a win over Miami. So if they beat Pitt and win out, they'll be the Coastal champs. Now for Miami, they need a little bit more chaos to win the Coastal. Actually 5-4 overall, but only 3-2 in the ACC. Losses to Virginia and North Carolina, but a win over Pitt. That's big time. So what needs to happen? They need to win out, they need Pitt to lose one more game, and they need Virginia to lose one more game. So they need both of the teams above them to lose a game. That way they'd have the tiebreaker over Pitt. Now on over to the Big 12. This one's a little more cut and dry, but it's still far from being decided. At the top, Oklahoma, Boomer Sooner. Undefeated, 9-0 overall, 6-0 in the Big 12. They win out. They are Big 12 champs. Right behind them, Oklahoma State. They're 8-1 overall, 5-1 in the Big 12. Their only loss was to Iowa State. Right behind them is Baylor, 7-2, 4-2 in the Big 12. Their losses were to Oklahoma State and TCU. And right behind them, Iowa State, 6-3 overall, 4-2 in the Big 12. Losses to Baylor and West Virginia. So all three of these teams have a loss to each other. Baylor has a loss to Oklahoma State. Iowa State has a loss to Baylor. And Oklahoma State has a loss to Iowa State. Yeah, that one has a lot to be figured out yet. But basically, they're playing for second place. But if you do get second place, you get a shot at Oklahoma and become the Big 12 champs. Remember, no divisions in the Big 12. And if Oklahoma were to pick up a loss, you talk about tiebreakers. Tiebreakers will come into effect. Don't forget to check out my good friends at TriStateWoodSketch.com. All you have to do is send them the picture, and they'll transfer it on the wood. They do family photos, couples photos, logos of your favorite team, all shapes and sizes. Right now, he's running a buy one, get one free special if you mention that Golden Blue Dude sent you. Now let's jump to the Big 10. First up, the Big 10 East. Ohio State at the top. They're 8-1 overall, 6-0, undefeated in the Big 10. Right behind them, Michigan State. They're 8-1. 5-1 in the Big 10. Their only loss was to Purdue. Right behind them, Michigan. They're 8-1 overall, 5-1 in the Big 10. And they lost to Michigan State. So plain and simple, if Ohio State wins out, they're Big 10 East champs. But if Michigan State wins out, meaning they would have a win over Ohio State, they would win the Big 10 East. And then for Michigan, they need to win out, and they need Michigan State to lose another game because Michigan State holds the tiebreaker. But winning out would go a long way because Michigan State could lose another game. But that means Michigan does need to beat Ohio State. Now, the Big Ten West, a bit more of a mess. Actually, a much bigger mess. In first place, Wisconsin, 6-3 overall, 4-2 in the Big Ten. Minnesota, 6-3 overall, 4-2 in the Big Ten. Purdue, 6-3 overall, 4-2 in the Big Ten. And then Iowa, 7-2 overall, but 4-2 in the Big Ten. Yeah, that's how crazy it is. Wisconsin's 2 losses were to Michigan and Penn State. So both of their losses are to Big Ten East opponents. So if they win out, they're good to go. They're winning the Big Ten West. Now, for Minnesota, they lost to Ohio State and Illinois. So both of their losses are not to any of the teams they're competing with. So if they win out, they're good to go. Purdue needs some help, though. They lost to both Minnesota and Wisconsin. So they need to win out, and they need both Minnesota and Wisconsin to lose another game. And then, of course, there's Iowa. They lost to Purdue and Wisconsin. So they need to win out, and they need Purdue and Wisconsin to lose another game. Yeah, crazy Big Ten West. Now let's talk about the Pac-12. The Pac-12 North, all wrapped up by Oregon, right? Nope. Oregon is in first place, though. They're 8-1 overall, 5-1 in the Pac-12. Their only loss was a head-scratcher to a 3-6 Stanford, who just got blown out by Utah. But right behind them, Washington State, 5-4 overall, but 4-2 in the Pac-12. Their 2 losses were to USC and Utah. So this next game between Oregon and Washington State will probably decide the Pac-12 North. Because if Washington State wins out, meaning they beat Oregon, they would win the Pac-12 North. So this is a big game. The Pac-12 South is way more messier. First we have Utah. They're 6-3 overall, but only 5-1 in the Pac-12. Their only loss was to actually a Pac-12 North opponent, Oregon State. Right behind them, Arizona State. They're 6-3 overall, 4-2 in the Pac-12, with losses to Utah and Washington State. So Utah does own the tiebreaker over Arizona State. And right behind them, UCLA, 5-4, 3-3 in the Pac-12. They lost to Arizona State, Oregon, and Utah. So they lost to both of the teams above them. UCLA needs to win out, and they need Utah to lose out, and they need Arizona State to lose 2 more games. So they need complete chaos. But for Arizona State, it's a bit more simple. They need to win out and then hope for Utah to lose 2 more games because the Utes do own the tiebreaker. So if Utah wins out or only loses 1 more time, they are the Pac-12 South champs. And finally, the SEC. And like I said at the beginning of the video, the SEC East is wrapped up. Georgia is the SEC East champs. However, they do go on the road and play Tennessee. And if Tennessee were to upset them, that would definitely mess up the playoff picture. Georgia still won the SEC East, but it would definitely throw the playoff picture into chaos. Now, the SEC West. This is where the mess is at in the SEC. First, we have Alabama. They are 8-1 overall, 5-1 in the SEC, only lost to Texas A&M. Right behind them, Texas A&M, 7-2 overall, 4-2 in the SEC. Losses to Arkansas and Mississippi State, the 2 bottom feeders of the SEC West. Right behind them, Auburn, 6-3, 3-2 in the SEC. Losses to Georgia and Texas A&M. And finally, Ole Miss. They are 7-2 overall, but 3-2 in the SEC. Losses to Alabama and Auburn, the 2 teams that they really didn't want to lose to the most. So it's simple enough for Alabama. Win out, you're good to go. Texas A&M win out, and Alabama lose another game. You're good to go because you have the tiebreaker over Alabama. Now for Auburn, you guys need to win out and hope for Texas A&M to lose another game because Texas A&M owns the tiebreaker over you. But it's really not that far-fetched. Win out, Texas A&M lose another game. For Ole Miss, it's a bit more tricky because they've already lost to Alabama and Auburn. So what they need to happen, they need Auburn to beat Alabama but lose another game, and they need Alabama to lose to Auburn like I just said, and they also need to lose another game. So they need Auburn and Alabama to lose 2 more games. That's a tall order to ask, so they need complete chaos. But the other 3 teams definitely have a shot. So there you go, the chaos update on the conference races. Nothing is decided except for the SEC East. All I know is whoever's in charge of the tiebreakers this year, I would not like to be you because your job is going to be probably the most hectic it's ever been. So good luck to whoever's in charge of that. Y'all let me know, who do you think is going to win each division in the Power 5 conferences? That's all I got for you for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you on my next show.